Hello, how are you today? We are so happy to see you. It's storming like crazy down in Atlanta, but we're believing that we're going to have that great connection that we need in order to serve you today. So, I've got a question. Are you building a platform or a tribe? My guest today explains the difference and why she believes a tribe is much better choice. She's also going to tell us about her online training course for writers, Author Access Masterclass. Hi, I'm Patricia Durkin, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials and interviews to help Christian writers and speakers take their message online. This is episode 118, my interview with book editor Alice Crider, Build a Tribe and Not a Platform. Hello, Alice. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Patricia.
I'm so glad that you're here. You've got a lovely graphic behind you, a lovely painting behind you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually at a friend's house, and she painted that. So
Well, she has good taste.
she does. She's an awesome artist. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your personal life. Then we're going to go to your business, and you've owned several. Then we're going to go to talk about, excuse me, the Author Access Masterclass, because I know a lot of people are going to want to know about that, which is opening very soon. We're going to tell you all about that. And then we have a marketing element you're going to share with us. Is that sequence all right?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Great. So you just told me, I knew that you were licensed to fly a private plane. I assumed that meant that you were currently active, but you told me, no, you got that license at 19 years of age. Now that is way cool, Alice.
I did. I guess I've always had kind of a sense of adventure, and I grew up flying with my uncle who had a private pilot's license, and I used to tell him that someday I would learn to fly without an airplane, and he always said, "No, you'll need an airplane." So, so by the time I was 19, I figured, yeah, I guess I need an airplane, and I went and got a private pilot's license one summer, and I haven't flown much at all since then, but it was just an achievement that was a lot of fun, and I still to this day love to fly. I flew from Denver to Chicago last night, and we flew in a thunderstorm, like lightning striking the plane, kind of thunderstorm rocking the plane. And I loved it. I was probably the only one on the plane having a good time. So.
Okay, that story alone tells us a whole lot about you, Alice.
Yeah.
You also own a horse and a mountain bike. You've owned several businesses. Right now you own 2 or 3. When did you get this adventure bug? Were you born with it?
I guess so. I had 3 older sisters growing up, and they all were very smart and reading books and doing, studious things and kind of homebodies inside. And they kind of took over the house. So I went outside to play. And I always loved to be outside. We grew up in a neighborhood where it was safe to run all over the place and climb trees and ride bikes everywhere. And so I just always loved being outside and adventure. And when my brother was born and then he was growing up, my parents bought him one of those little spring horses that, you'd bounce up and down on. Well, I don't know if he ever got to ride it because I took it over and I bounced that thing. I galloped it all over our basement. And from that time on, I would beg my parents every birthday, Christmas, anytime, can I get a horse? Can I get a horse? Finally, my mom said, let's take you to a riding stables and get you some lessons. So I learned to ride horses when I was about 12 years old. And I've just loved horses ever since. So I do have a horse, and I ride him every weekend. Just a soul thing for me, I guess.
And you told your mother way back when you were before you were even a child, that you wanted to live in Colorado. What was the draw to Colorado? Do you remember?
Well, we came to Colorado every summer because both sets of grandparents lived here. We had a set of grandparents in Fort Collins, and a set of my mom's parents were out eastern Colorado, and we visited them both almost every summer. And I never wanted to go back because I grew up in Illinois. I never wanted to go back to Illinois because Colorado was just better. Yes. And there was adventure there, and I'd get to see my grandparents and my aunt and uncle, and we'd go hiking, and I just fell in love with Colorado, and I said, I actually told her I will be a writer and I'm going to live in Colorado. And I've been in Colorado most of my adult life, and I've worked in book publishing now for 20 years.
20 years, 20 years.
Yeah, so parents, listen to your children because they will tell you what they're going to do.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely right. And
Yeah,
some of the most far-fetched dreams are the ones that have the greatest propensity of being fulfilled with just the littlest bit of encouragement, right?
right, right.
Mm,
Yeah, my parents never told me I couldn't. So,
good for them and good for you.
yeah.
And then you homeschooled your own 4 children. What was that like?
I did, yeah. Well, when my son was going into third grade, I think it was, he couldn't read, and the teachers were saying, "Oh, we think he's ADD. You better put him on medication." And I was like, "I don't think that's the problem." So I took him out and started teaching him to read myself, and then I just learned that homeschooling was a great way for him to be educated, and so I just carried it through with everybody else too. And my younger two daughters learned to read when they were 4 years old because
Yes.
they didn't want to be left behind when everybody else is reading.
Good for them.
Yeah,
Extra points for that.
right.
My husband and I homeschooled our own 2 daughters as well, from the fourth and the fifth grade, all the way through their high school years, and then they graduated with into college, and that was in the days when people were wondering, well, are they ever going to be able to get a job when they get out of homeschooling?
Right.
Did you find any of that bias?
Yeah, the question I always got asked was, what about their socialization? Like, are they really going to get an education? And I thought, wow, we're in church all the time. We had homeschool communities. And the one thing I was concerned about was like leaving gaps in their education, because I was good at teaching English and we had a good math program, and history we did great in. And then science kind of fell through the cracks. But one of my daughters actually ended up going to college for biology. So I figured somehow what my kids really got out of homeschooling was they learned how to learn, and they learned that they could learn whatever they wanted to learn. So they had,
That's,
a lot of freedom to learn. Yeah.
that's a great quote. I love that. I've never heard it expressed that way in all these years, and I may be borrowing that and giving you credit for it.
Okay. Feel free. Yeah.
I know that for us, one of the benefits that was never discussed and still is not publicly discussed very often by non-homeschoolers was the close relationship you develop with your children that lasts the rest of their life
Right.
in that environment that they do not get in a public arena.
That's right. Yeah. And they're very close to each other as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've all grown up and they're all responsible adults and entrepreneurs and in ministry. And I mean, I couldn't be more proud because they definitely make me look good, even though I left gaps in their education.
Oh, gracious. Well, just to correct myself, it's not always, it's possible to have a good relationship with your parents. But if you're in the public arena, but it's not as likely as if you're in a homeschool environment. So,
Right.
Teachers, don't throw rotten tomatoes at me, okay? I meant no disrespect. So I'm looking at your blog, and I see that you're a straight talker, Alice.
Yeah.
You don't mince words. You're not mean or spirited or nothing harsh. But I mean, you lay it on the line. One of the things that you said in just one single article was, "What is holding writers back is fantasy."
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think, well, somebody recently told me that they felt like the reason they procrastinate is because it's better just to keep the dream in place than it is to actually do the work to get to the dream being reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it holds people back in general, but writers especially, it's like they have a dream that, maybe I can be published, or maybe I'll hit a bestseller list, or, maybe my books will really make a difference for masses of people. And those are wonderful dreams to have. But I think there's an element of, what if I don't measure up? I think I'd rather dream that this is possible than find out, than be disappointed that it's not true. What if I do publish that book and nobody reads it? What if I publish that book and people hate it?
Mm-hmm.
There's that kind of that dissonance, I guess you could say, between the dream and the fear. So Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I've suffered from that same illness in the past. But for you, does it just strike a raw nerve because you've been so adventurous? You've tried so many different things in business, your business life and your personal life, and met the challenge.
Yeah, well, there are times when I haven't met the challenge too. There are times when I've had the dream and I pushed forward and hit a wall. And for me, I guess maybe I'm just a super dreamer or something. I don't know. It's like, I think if you can take enough steps forward to allow yourself a little bit of success,
Mm-hmm.
you can find out you can take more steps. It's like, take the steps you can and experience what success feels like on a small level, and then take more steps and let the success get bigger. But there will always be obstacles. So for instance, when I decided I wanted to be an editor, I used to say I was going to be a writer, and then I went to a writer's conference and I watched some editors talk, and they looked like they were having a lot of fun in their job. So I thought, that looks easier, so I think I'll do that. So maybe I'm still procrastinating my writer's dream by just being an editor. I'm hiding out behind my editor hat. So yeah, but even trying to be an editor wasn't an easy road. I had to push through some obstacles there too, and really most of it is personal growth.
Yes. And if we continue to only dream, there are obstacles to that as well, aren't there?
Right. Yeah.
Not very often discussed, but they're there.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't think anybody ever gets to the end of their life and says, wow, I wish I would have put that off longer, or I wish I would have waited on that dream. Mm-hmm. Most people get to the end of their life and say, wow, I wish I would have pushed harder. I could have done that. I could have. Mm-hmm. What if I had done that one thing? Yeah.
One of the other things that you say is that new writers, particularly new authors, feel that they're trying to figure out which do they go with, an online platform or the passion for writing. And you say that there is no middle ground.
Right. Well, yeah, you kind of have to do both. Good writing helps, but I've actually worked with authors who didn't even know how to write. I've worked with speakers who had that big platform that publishers look for. And so writing is great, and it's a wonderful form of expression. But these days, you really have to be seen and known and heard in order for people to want to come get your book. It feels like, I know a lot of people, at writers' conferences, they're told you have to build a platform, and you get this deer in the headlights look, like, you mean I have to do all that? I have to get out there in front of people? I just wanted to write books. Yeah. And I really get that, because I wanted that once too. But more and more, if you think about the last book you bought, it was probably either written by someone who's very well known, or you heard it by word of mouth, because it's, it's getting out there somehow, the author is being seen. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you don't necessarily have to build a big platform, but you do have to be seen and heard and known, and you have to allow that.
By a specific group of people who already want your message.
That's right. Yes. And so that's where my word tribe comes in. So I actually don't like the platform word, and I'm trying to abolish it because it just makes people uncomfortable. It makes the person trying to build a platform uncomfortable, and it makes, it's the stigma around it. But to me, a platform is literally a thing to stand on so that you can be seen and heard. And it's like a stage. And to me, a platform, somebody trying to build a platform is saying, look at me, I'm over here, come on, follow me, listen to me, it's me, me, me. But a tribe is actually a gathering of people that with something in common. And a tribe leader is the person serving that tribe, not necessarily trying to get anybody to follow, or they're not looking for attention, they're looking to serve. And so I like to say, build a tribe, not a platform. And some of the best-selling authors I've ever worked with are people who were just organically trying to serve a few people or a group of people, and found out they actually were striking a nerve with many people. And I mean, I could tell story after story of different authors who they built a tribe around them without really much effort, because it was just in their heart to serve. And out of that came people saying, can you put what you're serving us with in a book so we can have it with us? I can tell you lots of stories of authors who have done that. And then their book is like pulled out of them instead of them trying to push their writing out into the world.
That's a
There's
great
less effort in being pulled forward than there is in you pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. And two people can have the same content, but a different motive. And it's a totally different process, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you find that Christ draws those who want to have their book pulled out of them, or does he give you assignments both independently and through the publisher that you work with? Is it a mix?
As far as the books I work on?
The authors that you find yourself working with, whether independently or for the publisher, do they represent both sides of that coin?
Most of the books that I acquire are from authors who have built a tribe
already.
Some of them you could say, well, they really built a platform because they got out and maybe they were speaking. But even speakers are usually speaking because they want to contribute something, and they have a gift for being able to contribute that something, and people want to hear it, and then people naturally follow. And so, anymore, it used to be like, if you had 5,000 followers on Twitter, that's good. That was a good online platform. Anymore, it's more like 500,000 is the benchmark for bigger publishers. And so, we really do look at how far can this author reach? And the publishers and agents and editors are always going to keep saying it's platform and you got to reach far. But what I really look for is like, what's the heart of this author, and who are the individuals they're really reaching? Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Very well, you did.
I get rolling sometimes. I'm like, I may have veered off there. So
let me check Facebook to see if we have comments and questions. I think we do. And while I'm doing that, will you tell us just a little bit? You just recently delivered a presentation at a writers conference. Do you get to go to those very often?
I do. I do about 3 or 4 writers conferences a year. And I teach workshops and I take appointments, one-on-ones.
Can you give us a rundown, just speaking for yourself, can you give us a rundown of, I'm a pretend attendee and I'm thinking about asking if I can have an appointment with you. What do I need to have prepared, or what can I expect from you in that process of a one-on-one appointment, Alice?
Right. Okay. So if you're brand new and you haven't really written much of anything yet, the best thing you can do is sit down and ask some questions. Like, what do you want to learn about the publishing industry? You could ask a few questions. You could also, sit down and say, I've got some ideas and I'd like to know if they're valid, or can you help me process something here? If you're brand new and you haven't really written anything yet and you don't have a tribe that you're serving yet, it's hard for me to be very encouraging if you try to pitch to me and try and, with the intent of, I'm going to offer you a book contract or I'm going to invite you to send me a proposal. It's, I hate to disappoint people, but you really do have to kind of come to the table with more than, I'm just getting started and I have no platform, but I want a book contract. You can't start with a contract. You really have to start with serving people and delivering your message in little bits and pieces so that you grow that tribe. And really, like at this conference I was just at, there was an agent there that got up and spoke kind of a word of wisdom. And he said, anybody can publish anything these days. Like, it takes nothing to publish and get your book up on Amazon. But Amazon is posting a new book every 5 minutes. And that's a lot of books. There are millions of books in the English language on Amazon now, and that's where most people shop. And so if you're not known, people are going to have a hard time finding you. So it was really good advice when he said, don't make getting published your goal, because getting a book published isn't going to establish you as a writer or an author, but building a tribe would. Like, make getting readers your goal, not getting published your goal. And I thought that was so, so smart.
Yes.
I stole it. I told him I was going to steal it, so I did.
Well, I'm stealing it from you, and you're stealing it from me.
We'll just get the word out now. So.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear that when you're completely passionate, you're consumed by it. All your friends and your relatives say it's a great idea, and not to say that they're wrong, but there's still that business element. You can't ignore it.
Right. And it may really be an amazing idea, and it might just not be time for it yet. So
that's hard. That's hard. But sitting down with someone like yourself, other people, agents and other publishers, editors at a writer's conference is priceless, isn't it? Because you get to actually hear the truth.
Yes. Yeah. And I love listening to people's ideas and helping them shape it a little bit. And lately, like in the last couple of conferences, I've sat down with people and said, okay, I like your idea. You're on the right track for you. And let's talk about ways that you can get connected with people around this. And, just brainstorm some ideas around how you can actually get with real life people, see how this message is landing with them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we do have some Facebook comments. Okay. Kate Barker says, so good to see you, Alice.
Oh, yay, Kate. Hi.
Jenna Benton says, love that, Alice.
Oh, thanks, Jenna.
Jenny Cagle-Water says, I like the description of building a tribe.
Wonderful.
It does have less of pressure to it, doesn't it? It just sounds like it's a different task.
Yeah. Well, it's like gathering friends instead of groupies. None of us need groupies.
And what are you going to do with them when you're tired of them? They just hang on.
Yeah.
Jenna also has a question. She says, if I want to build a tribe, should it be on all the social media platforms, or can she just pick one?
I like to recommend that you start with one, and start with the one that you think your readers may be on. So sometimes that depends on their age group or their gender or their personality. Like, younger people seem to be on Instagram more, and they're loving YouTube. Some of us midlife to older people are on Facebook still. There's still lots of people on Twitter. So see if you can figure out where your tribe is already gathering, because those readers are already reading somewhere.
Yes.
And they're already engaging somewhere, and they're probably engaging with each other somewhere. So find out where they are and go and master that platform first, and then branch out. So like right now I'm on Facebook, and I've been on Twitter for a long time, and I'm just dabbling in Instagram, and I'm starting to build up my LinkedIn because it's a little bit more professional. So for some of my business stuff, I'm on LinkedIn.
And we can find that information out. It's not ethereal. We can find it out by just doing some simple research.
Sure. You can do a survey on any of those platforms, find out where those people are, start asking some questions. And people love to engage in social media when you ask questions.
Yes.
Find out a lot.
You tell us that you're a certified life coach, an author coach, and a right life coach.
Yes.
What are the differences in those three, please?
Well, the right life coach and the author coach are basically the same thing. The right life coach is kind of my handle, and author coach is more of a description of what I do with authors. So with authors and writers, I like to help them look at ways that they can build their tribe or shape their message so that it's unique to them and fresh to an audience. And then life coaching is, I have training in coaching anybody in just about any area of their life or anything that's going on in their world.
And it's quite in-depth training, that life coaching training that you took. It's quite in-depth, isn't it? Yeah,
I've taken actually quite a few different programs just to kind of piece together my own style of coaching. So it's a lot of training and a lot of practicing, I guess, or coaching just to get the experience. So I've been doing that for about 10 years now. Yeah.
The writing coaching that you do as the right life coach, excuse me, that's in addition to the coaching that you offer in your program that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. Is that right? Those are separate?
Yeah, because I have my online program where anybody can jump in and go through it on their own. And we also have like a private Facebook group that gives people a group community feeling. And we have a group coaching call every Thursday evening where we get together as a group and I do some coaching, or I bring in guests that, help with their expertise. And then my individual coaching is like my Right Life coaching. Because we actually work on the author's life, not just their writing.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's the broader picture.
So there are different writers and authors that hire me as a life coach, but their publishing is part of their life. So that's in the picture at the same time. So,
Okay. That makes sense. And let's see. Now, let's just segue right into the Author Access Masterclass. Why did you create this? You've got so many fingers and so many pies, but you love this topic. So explain to us how this got started, please.
Right. Okay. So over the 20 years I've been in publishing, I've seen a lot of change. I've seen kind of the heyday of Christian publishing, where if you wrote a good book, it got published and it went to the masses, and people sold millions of copies of books, and it was awesome. And that still happens a little bit today, but it happens less because, more and more books are being published all the time. Like I said, Amazon posts a book every 5 minutes. And so more and more books are out there, which means readers have more and more choices to make. And because of the way the industry has developed, readers also get their entertainment and their information and their reading pleasure in many different places other than books. So they're not just reading books. And so it's gotten harder and harder for publishers to market books. And it's not easy, as most writers will tell you, it's not easy to build that platform that seems so daunting. And so I'm an editor. I'm working in a publishing house, and I love authors and books, and I love the whole world of publishing. And I'm thinking, it's only a matter of time before this publishing house shrinks so much that I'm not needed anymore. So what am I going to do? I really want to help. And, I hear the publishing side of it saying, well, we need these authors to help market their own books. And then I hear authors saying, well, isn't that the publisher's job? Don't they do the marketing for me? And, they're both right. Everybody has to work at it now. And so I thought, well, as an editor, what if I start helping? Like, maybe I could learn something. Maybe I can make a difference. And so I decided to take a marketing class about 1.5 years ago. And it ended up being a really intensive marketing class where I learned a lot of digital marketing tools. And I thought, wow, as I'm learning all of this, I'm thinking, what if I put my life coaching together with my publishing experience and all this marketing information I'm getting, put it all in one place? I can, first of all, help authors figure out who are they as an author and who do they want to serve, and help them get out of their own way, because we all have head trash that gets in our way. And then what if I help them, with some just nuts and bolts of how publishing works, and let's get really creative in marketing. And so I launched this course almost 1 year ago, and quite a few people have gone through it, and it's been just so much fun. And I keep adding little things to it, and I bring in guests and I record all of that. So it just keeps kind of expanding. It's really awesome.
And the name of it is Author Access Masterclass. And the tagline is perfect. You're training for authors who hate marketing. That's got to ding a lot of bells, Alice.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I could change it to build a tribe, not a platform. I should. Yeah. And sometimes I like to say you got to think outside the book.
Oh yeah. I like that. You're the first person that I've heard say that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the fourth module, there are 8 modules in it, and the very next class is in 8 days. Starts in 8 days, September 6th, right?
Yes. So registration is open now. It's on my website, alicecrider.com. It's open right now, and we're going to be starting our next session on September 6th. We'll start with a Zoom video call that evening. And yeah, so anybody that jumps in now gets to be in on that. And after that, I'm actually going to close it up, close up the doors for probably at least 6 months, if not more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And viewers, all of the links and the resources that we mentioned in this episode will be, I'll immediately after the show ends, I'll put them above the video. And if you happen to be watching the replay and it's been shared to you, then they'll be below the video. But it'll say resources mentioned in this episode, and it'll be big bold letters so you can't miss it. So feel free to write down whatever you want to, but at the same time, we will make that available to you after the episode. Well, we had some more contacts here. Let me check and see. Janet McHenry says, hello, Alice and Patricia.
Hi, Janet.
She also says that your Author Access Masterclass is superb.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Linda Rowland Kruschke, maybe, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. Love hearing you quote that great Bob Hostetler idea.
Yes. Yeah, that was Bob Hostetler, the agent, that said that about don't make the book your goal. Yes.
Anything that he says, he's just a really unique, special person, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Awesome sense of humor too.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Let's see. I think that's everybody for right now. Let me check my one other place. No, Kate Barker had something to say, so let me go and check on that. Kate says, I highly recommend Alice's Author Access Masterclass. Helpful info and amazing feedback. So, and that goes back to the Facebook group, doesn't it? The private Facebook group?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're watching this live or the replay, get over there after the episode ends. September the 6th, it all begins. So check it out. So let's talk about the marketing. You have so many things that you could teach us about marketing and you could share with us and enlighten us. But we have to keep it to a small amount of time. So tell us more about how to build a tribe and not a platform. Why is that important? How do we go about doing that? Can you give us some ideas on how to do that?
Well, probably the easiest way would be to tell a couple of stories of some authors I've worked with, if that's okay.
Yes.
So right now I've been working with an author who teaches martial arts to young boys in Detroit, Michigan. They're living on, in single mom homes, and they're rough neighborhoods and growing up in tough times. So he's got this martial arts academy where he teaches them martial arts and emotional stability mixed with spiritual training from the Bible. And that's his heart, because he grew up in Detroit himself. And so he decided to do that just because he knew how rough it was growing up, and he wanted to help other boys grow up better than he did. So he started doing this, and then he posted a couple of videos on YouTube of some things that happened, and just organically, and people started following, and pretty soon he's built this tribe around him. He's got, his first viral video has more than 12 million views worldwide, and people are now clamoring to him going, how can you teach everybody how to do this? These boys grow up with more self-esteem, they get better grades, they're not being bullied at school anymore, they know who they are, they have confidence, they're emotionally healthy. It's like, how do we do this? So people are going after him. He sent me a note the other day saying he has 4,000 friend requests on Facebook and he doesn't know what to do with them. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like that before. So that's just organic tribe building. It was in his heart to serve a group of people, and those aren't even the readers. He's going to have a book coming out in January, but those boys aren't his readers. It's the men and the women and the single parent families that are like, we want to hear everything you have to say. Mm-hmm. So that's one. And then just out in Oregon, and Kim Meter owns a horse rescue ranch out there called Crystal Peaks Youth Ranch, and she was one of our keynote speakers. I got to work with her on a couple of books years ago when I was at Waterbrook, but basically she started rescuing horses, and she opened up her ranch for children to come and help out with these horses. And over the years, her ranch has become a place where abused horses and underprivileged children come together, and there are miracle stories that come out of there. And so just in doing what she wanted to do to minister, They have this Wednesday night church on the lawn kind of service every week where they just, people from all over the neighborhood come and they gather and do church outside, and just ministry. And she's published 5 books now, and like some of them have been very much bestsellers. And now she speaks in lots of different places. So she built a tribe based on something that was just in her heart to serve with. And then a lot of people know Robin Jones Gunn's story when she was writing the Christy Miller series, which is now almost 30 years old, and they're still selling, they're still bestsellers. But that came out of her teaching high school girls in Sunday school, and they were reading books that Robin thought were not good for them. And they said, well, why don't you write some stories? So she started writing stories, and they helped her. They actually told her what they liked and what they didn't like, and what would work and what wouldn't work. And those books were crafted in community with the tribe that she built. And she still has young women following her, and she's had generations growing up under those books now, just because she just had a heart for those girls, and she still has a heart for those girls. And so, I could go on and on. There was a rocket scientist from North Dakota that wanted his children to learn to love the Bible. And he started telling them stories, and they liked the stories so much they started telling their friends, and their friends were coming over, and then the friends' parents were coming over going, can you get us those stories in print? And pretty soon he was selling he self-published those books, and he started selling them at homeschool conventions. And it got to be a real distribution problem because he sold like 50,000 copies of these books at homeschool conventions. So then he needed a distributor, and Waterbrook picked up his whole series to help distribute. It was amazing. He just was like, I'm a rocket scientist. I just wanted my kids to learn to love the Bible. So again, it's just like out of his heart, who did he want to serve? So you can see the thread here. It's like what I would say to anybody who feels like you've got a message. It's like, okay, take your message and figure out who is it that you want to serve with that, and go serve them right now before you publish, before you announce anything that you're going to self-publish or try and get published, get a contract. Go actually serve those people right now.
Do the work.
Yes, absolutely.
And that also tells you if your idea is a sound idea, if people truly do want it, if it needs to be changed or tweaked, or maybe even tossed out for a better idea that would never occur to you until you were active with your boots on the ground, right?
Right. Exactly. Like if Robin had said, well, I'm just going to write these books and I'm going to get them published, they probably wouldn't even still be around anymore, because she never would have gotten the feedback from those girls saying, no, this is what a teenage girl wants. This is how a teenage girl is going to receive it. Yeah.
To have them right there participating in it, giving her feedback, even as she's writing it, that's almost unbelievable now. Who could even imagine that being possible now?
Right. Well, it's actually really possible because you can actually engage with people on Facebook. Not necessarily put all your work out there, but you can ask questions, and people love to give their opinions or give their advice. So you can engage with people. And if nothing else, you've got a neighborhood where you live. You have neighbors somewhere, or you have a community in your hometown or your church. Get together with a group of people and run your ideas by them.
And even though you're the guest and you're the expert, I would just have to add, make sure that there are people who would be similar in values and needs than the people that you would want to serve. Billy Bob down the street, his or her feedback is not valuable to you and can actually turn your head in a different direction than Christ wants it to be.
Yeah, you want to choose wisely, but really think about the actual tribe you want to reach and find them.
Okay, we're almost finished. Time has flown, absolutely flown by. But let me see, we've got some more. Let me check over here. I'd like to check it. I'm currently on both my profile and my page. That will change within a month. I'll only have my program shown on my page. But right now I want to check both and see if we have any additional comments. We've got lots of people who are enjoying it. And if this many people are enjoying it right now when it's live, I know that it's going to reach out and be so helpful and effective for people who are watching the replay. I think we've covered everybody that has given us some information. You know what? It's been so wonderful to hear your stories and your wisdom, and you're quite the adventurer yourself, even though it may not be noticeable at face value. You're used to getting in there and getting the job done, aren't you?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I am.
And so I'm assuming that you attract people who feel that same way. They make the commitment, they use their discipline or build their discipline, and they just do what needs to be done to reach the goal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The people I coach usually are just like that. Yeah. They're ready to move from where they are to where they really want to be. Yeah.
So delightful. Thank you very much for joining me, Miss Alice Crider. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. I really appreciate you having me on today. It's really fun. It went by faster than I thought it would.
It really does. It just zooms by. It really does. Maybe we can have you back sometime, depending upon your schedule. So
that would be awesome.
In the back of our mind.
Yeah, that would be great.
We always like to hear people who have a passion for what they're talking about, and they know what they're talking about, and they're willing to share it. That's the trifecta.
Yes. Yeah.
You check all those boxes.
Right.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining Alice and me today this has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 118. Book editor Alice Crider telling us how to build a tribe and not a platform. Tomorrow, historian and author Rebecca Price Janney joins me to discuss her latest release, Easton at the Crossroads. She'll also share 4 ways to promote your new book. You know, we're here every weekday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern to help you develop or refine your online marketing skills. And why do we do that? So that your message, the gospel message within you, can go and spread across the globe for Christ. It's an exciting time to live. But we need to have those more online marketing skills so that our message can be clear and can be seen and understood and valued. And this is exactly what Alice has talked about today. Until tomorrow, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, along with Alice Crider, telling you thanks so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.